Talk to Mario.
Taping yourself?
Yep.
Gilbert, wonderful as always.
Oh, thank you.
What was the presumption?
Oh, God.
Are you a friar?
you?
I looked something up in the internet. It started in 1904.
I think because, was this a monastery at one time?
I don't know. Maybe it was, huh?
Or just the fact that, did you see how the room is? Monks.
It's supposed to be about people not abusing and giving away theater tickets.
Yeah.
And they accomplished their mission within a year, but then they...
So you're getting all the architectural details?
Yeah, I live in Gramercy Park. I like the old stuff.
Wonderful.
And they rebuilt the Gramercy Park Hotel with absolutely no feeling whatsoever for the historicness.
The surrounding area.
Right, the synagogue did a better job. Rather than synagogue, they put slate on the sidewalk. Thanks. See you. Are you a friar? Could I ask you some questions?
No, I have to leave.
Oh, okay.
This is where we have Thanksgiving.
Really?
That's beautiful.
Can I ask you some questions?
I sure can.
For the can you explain this room?
Can I explain
Can I
the
put
room?
you on camera?
But can I explain
Are you a
the
friar?
room? I am a friar. I'm on the board of governors of the Friars.
Can I?
I'll try.
Great.
Hiya.
Hey, this is
My
for my
pleasure.
TV show called Farther Down the Rabbit Hole on MNN every day 11:30.
Great. Thank you for coming and thank you for asking. This is a room which is really a meeting room, a dining room for private parties. These are photos of people who were honored and or roasted at different times.
Now, can you explain to me what roasting means?
Honored. Roasting is honoring, but when we roast, we might say some things which appear to be off color, but they're done with great love and admiration.
I'm a proponent of Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, and part of it is to find out what's most alive and then what would make life more wonderful. Do you think it helps people to get to what's most alive, to create connections of empathy?
I'm not sure I know what you're asking or
What's
what
the
your
purpose
question
of
is.
roasting?
The purpose of roasting is entertaining people and raising money. The Friars does give great things for charity, for children.
So it's not about
people
laughing at people or making
Oh,
fun
not
of
laughing at people, laughing with people.
them. Okay.
It has nothing, nobody is laughing at it. We might make fun of them, and we just but enjoy one another.
It's a great virtue to be able to laugh, have humor and laugh at yourself. Right?
Oh gosh, it's great.
So it's an
great.
honor to be fried by the Friars?
It's honored to be roasted,
To be roasted
by the Friars.
by the Friars.
And There have been many legendary people who've had the privilege of being roasted and or honored, whatever you might want to call it.
If you're on the board, do you pick out the roastees?
No, I do not. I just basically have a little bit, just a drop to how we run the club and what we do.
Well,
But
thank you.
My pleasure, and good luck with your show.
Yeah, if you give me if you give me your
My name?
email, yeah, what's your name?
Oh, well,
Sorry.
I'll give you my email, all right?
Yeah, and then I will
I'll only
post it.
give it to you. I'm not going to give it to anybody
Okay, I
else.
won't show it on air, but I want to post it and then show it to you. And
There you go.
And I realized that it started in 1904.
1904.
To try to get abuses of theater tickets being given away. That seems sort of strange.
And the person who acquired this building for the Friars at a time of stock market down and
In
economics.
1904?
No, in 1954, I believe.
Oh.
Was Milton Berle.
Oh, I
The
see.
legendary.
So you
Good
weren't
luck.
so you weren't in this building in 1904.
No, I was not. We were
Okay.
not.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Bye. Access TV show called Farther Down the Rabbit Hole because we like to go into topics more deeply.
Oh.
What brings you to this event? As elegantly dressed as you are.
Well, the Wounded Warriors program is what brought us here.
The Wounded Warriors program.
Yes, and we are supporting the Wounded Warriors. I mean, the service members that have been overseas and they got wounded in combat, and they come back, and we're here to support them.
And the Friars Club is helping this?
Yes. Yes.
I see. And you were at the roast?
Yes, we was at the roast.
You were there?
Yes.
Was it mean? Were they mean?
I think it was tasteful, and it gave us a chance to see the other side of the celebrities and stars. You know, they got to relax a little.
They got to relax among
Yes.
themselves, kind of. And
Yes.
It's just good-hearted, and it's supposed to be an honor to be picked for such a thing.
It is an honor, and it was tasteful. It was everything that I expected as this whole it was going to be, and it was just great. It was
What's
great.
your name?
Thomas, Staff Sergeant Thomas.
And where are you from? Where were you born?
I'm originally from Winter Haven, Florida,
Uh-huh.
and
And now you're in the position to take care of the wounded soldiers. It must be a monumental task.
well, it is. Well, we don't actually take care of them, but we support them in events. We come and show up because we actually stationed here, and
Stationed here in New York?
yes, at Floyd Bennett Field
Uh-huh.
at 6th Communication Battalion.
I used to teach meditation at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, under a colonel who'd been to Vietnam 3 times. He felt there was a better way. And I don't know, do you have any thoughts about the importance of protecting the country versus a blood economy?
Oh yes, it's a very much great need for us to protect our country, and we have our mission. And a lot of the times, you know, people don't agree, but we go out and do the things that we're told to do to protect and serve. And our training evolves around that, and we believe in that.
Have you seen any of the soldiers that have come back wounded?
I have seen soldiers that came back and that's been wounded, you know. And
You've been wounded?
No, I have not been
No.
wounded. And they have they still hold their head high.
Oh, of course.
And they still very much so believe what they did was the right thing to do, and they're not complaining, and that goes along with the job. It can happen to any of us, and it goes along with.
Well, it
the
wouldn't
job.
happen to me because I'm not over there.
Well, you're not there.
I mean, there might be a 9/11 happening, and then I'm here in New York.
Right. Right, and that just that's just the way it falls. And we support our wounded warriors, and they continue to just hold their head up high, still have the courage. They go through battles every day themselves personally to get stronger and get back in health, and they deal with their whatever their injury is, but that's a fight within itself.
And have you enjoyed working with the Friars to help them empathize with the needs of these soldiers?
I only wish I could do more. I wish I could do more with the Friars Club and assisting. I think what they're doing is great, raising money for them. It's to me, when we get thanks for the things we do, that's when I thank the American citizens for supporting the service members.
Do you think you could get me into one of the hospitals, and we could interview some of the soldiers? With your help?
What you can do is talk to what they call a public relation officer, and then what they do, they can arrange.
You want to come too? You're shy, but he's with you for the same thing.
For publication?
Yeah. Are you a friar?
Yes, I am.
Could you kind of explain the purpose of the Friars Club? And thank you very much.
Well, they're here as my guests. The Friars Club is the oldest entertainment club in the United States, the oldest, the premier entertainment club. And one of the things that I'm doing,
I want to get the light right, so yeah, keep. Okay.
I've started a program here called the Wounded Warriors Program, and these guys are all.
Wow, you personally started this?
Yes, I did.
What's your name?
Patricia Greenwald.
And you're one of the directors.
Yes, I'm on the board. So we bring entertainment to the wounded warriors in the military hospitals and the bases, and then we bring them here also for our comedy entertainment. And
so they can kind of chill out and relax and sort of get back into the vibe of being Americans.
Yes, they are. Well, they've all been. This gentleman, Perez,
Hi, nice to meet you.
is a wounded warrior.
You are? You don't look wounded.
Well, I got a couple of surgeries, and I went through a rehabilitation process. Of course, I got.
Right. I had 2 metal rods put in my back and 10 vertebrae fused when I was 14, and then the rods were taken out because I was meditating and my spine corrected the scoliosis. So I've always been a great advocate of bodywork.
Yes. Well, a lot of these you can't see. A lot of these people, most of them that we work with are amputees.
Oh, I see.
So you can't, unless they're wearing
Right.
short clothes, you can't see.
Well, there's amazing remedies and cures around for all kinds of things.
Right.
Have
Where
you
are
heard
you
about
from?
radio? I'm originally from Berkeley, California, but now I live in Gramercy Park.
What publication?
Farther Down the Rabbit Hole. It's a daily TV show on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and then I'm also on the internet.
Oh, you have a card?
You know, I didn't bring my cards, but if you give me yours, I will send you the link to this.
Very good, I will, yes.
The Communist News Network?
CNN?
No.
last guy that gave an interview was-
Alternative media. Actually, I talked about your program to your board people about helping the wounded soldiers, which is a wonderful cause. I have a daily public access television show in Manhattan.
That's terrific.
And I'm interested in nonviolent communication, and particularly by Marshall Rosenberg, who's got 1,000 schools in Israel.
Nonviolent
communication. I'd like you to speak to roasting as empathy building. Empathy building process. You're not being mean.
I'm not mean. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I learned that for years as a skinny kid growing up in Brooklyn.
Skinny kid?
Not anymore.
You have to ride a bike.
About an hour
there's
ago.
my guy.
So
Okay.
what happened was that if I made the guys laugh, they don't want to beat me up. And laughter has always been the key to survival. So if you feel you could beat the guy up, you lose your sense of humor. If you figure you can't beat a guy up, you're going to make him laugh.
Well, that's a very good
And Ben Laden has no sense of humor. You cannot deal with Ben Laden because you can't make him laugh.
Really?
You can never.
Well, I'm
you
going
can't
to
deal
post
with
this
him.
on the internet, and if Ben Laden has a rebuttal, then we're going to bring it up with
Ben
you. Okay?
Laden has no sense of humor.
I know. I'm just going to go.
How
sit
could
down.
you
But
deal-
he was so fascinating what he was saying.
How
Even
could
though
you
my bike
deal-
has been liberated.
How could you deal with Arafat? He had no sense of humor. Jewish people, we have a sense of humor. We'll always say, is that a way to do things? Can we work this out? There's a rhythm to our life. There is no rhythm to PLO or terrorists.
Right.
If they want to die, they can't find humor in living, then let them die.
Well, maybe humor can alleviate terror.
Definitely. If a guy is sitting, drinking and eating and laughing with you, he doesn't want to blow you up. I mean, if you teach these kids to have a good time, they're not going to say, I'm going to strap dynamite to myself.
Marshall Rosenberg has gotten Palestinians
and there's nothing funny about winding up with 72 virgins. You know the headache you can have with 72 women? You have any idea the shopping? You have any idea the credit cards? That's what.
Look at. The Quran says if you can do justice, you can have 3 wives, but you won't, so don't.
Why?
So they know it, to have 3 wives.
You have an idea.
It's in the Quran, you know?
The Quran?
You guys are all brothers. It all goes back to the sacrifice of Abraham, right?
Well, we're all cousins, and
and even Jesus said he didn't come to change the deal, right?
Jesus,
a deal's a deal.
let me tell you something. Jesus never said anything but believe in my Father. Who was his father? God. He was the Son of God. I want to ask you a question. What's more Jewish than a father taking his son in business with him? He said, go to earth, open a chain of churches. You could have jewelry. You'll have a wonderful time. You'll have a terrific business. If you think about it, it was the first McDonald's franchise.
It's a good point. No, but I do think terror can alleviate fear, and I think that's the important
Humor
thing.
can alleviate fear.
Yeah, excuse me. Humor can alleviate the terror that alleviates the fear. Without fear, we can start to do noble things that we thought we couldn't
I also
do.
feel
and
that
peace in the Middle East is possible, even economically. I have a plan. My charity is subscribing to Kelso, Louis Kelso. He wrote the Capitalist Manifesto in 1950.
Let me tell you something. You must deprogram.
Are you interested?
Not at all, because John Garfield listened to what you said, and they never let him make another movie again.
I don't know who John Garfield is.
You know who John Garfield was?
No.
John Garfield was the biggest star in Hollywood. When you get a chance, go watch Body and Soul, Humorous. Postman Rings Twice was the biggest star there was in Hollywood.
But he wasn't into binary. Right?
What happened was he got caught before the war, belonging to subversive groups, and he got blacklisted. He never made a movie again.
No, I'm talking about the Capitalist Manifesto.
I don't want to get about.
Communist?
You said communist.
I'm so sorry. I meant Capitalist Manifesto.
Don't you watch the screen today? There is no more capitalism. There's no more money. There's no money. There's nothing. The richest guy now in this building are 2 waiters.
Do you know what the most important annual event is? It's the harvest. It always has been.
Excuse me. I have to talk to my friend.
Thanks.
War, and he discovered our stuff because this lady from Harlem, who I mentioned before, Ennis Francis, went out and I couldn't go down to Texas to explain ESOPs. So I said, Ennis, why don't you go down? And she did, and she turned on these economic development people in the war on poverty, and one of them was a friend of Charlie. Charlie gets interested, invites me out, to a communal one weekend with the anti-war people. He gets excited. He converted. He was a McGovern supporter, and his father was a Nixon supporter. The two come together on the Kelso ideas. I called George Pillsbury, the father. I said, George, I need somebody to open the door. I said, this was in the 72 campaigns. I said, open the door for me.
And
he said, okay. He was a state senator. He was a member of the board of the Pillsbury Corporation, and he was the finance chairman in Minnesota. So he opened the door.
And what happened?
He gave me 3 names, and so I called all 3. One was Jake Javits, who was the senator from New York, and he didn't even respond. Then I called. The other guy was Chuck Percy. His daughter's married to J. Rockefeller IV, Senator Rockefeller. So I called Percy, and he calls me back, and he said, well, this sounds like profit sharing. He said, this is all, this whole story is on one of the papers in our library section. But anyway, so Percy says no. He says this sounds like profit sharing. I said no, it's not. Anyway, he said, well, we had profit sharing at Polaroid when he was the head of Polaroid. So, okay, so he doesn't do anything. And then I called a third guy who was from Colorado, Peter Dominic, and I explained to him. It took me a minute and he said, you call so-and-so, another senator who was right of Barry Goldwater. He was Paul Fannin from Arizona. So I call, and Fannin says, let's have a meeting. So the next day I have a meeting with Fannin. And I lay out the facts. I said, you know why the Republicans can't get anywhere? I said, the top 1%, I gave them a statistic, a book that came out of the Nixon White House. I said, look, I said, here it is. The top 1% own 71.58% of all directly held corporate stock. I said, now do you understand why Nader is mau-mauing the corporations? You got no bidder. You have no constituents for corporate profits because you don't have any owners. So he bought it, and he started introducing our legislation. Paul Fannin, and that was what they were then in the minority in the Senate. And so I was peddling this stuff up on Capitol Hill, and people would listen, not do anything. And then Kelso and I testified to save the Penn Central when the Penn Central Railroad went into before that was 1972. We were hired by the National Maritime Union to try to save the passenger vessels. I mean, the whole story's there. If you go into our website.
Okay, so for the sake of the tape, what you're telling me is that corporations, you can work with them. That's what Marshall Rosenberg said. Their collection.
Right. You can work with anybody who wants to solve problems, who's serious.
They're collections of human beings, and all human beings have the same needs, and the need to contribute is a great need.
You're not going to, some are not going to be open. Okay, what else is new? You go for those who you can speak with, who are looking for solutions. When we met, Kelso and I met, this is how the ESOP happened. I thought Russell Long was going to be the enemy. Okay?
Right.
We got a meeting opened up. Somebody in Louisiana opened up the meeting, and so Long, I get a call from Kelso. He says, well, Russell Long wants to meet with us. Set it up. Okay, so Kelso comes in. We spend. This is a guy who was in charge of the Senate Finance Committee. One of them, everybody knew. He was. If you want to talk about tax laws, I mean, Russell Long was one of the most powerful guys in the country. And if big companies could get 5 minutes of his time, they were doing well. I couldn't get anything before that. But somebody opened the door. And so Kelso and I met with Russell Long. He took us out to dinner. We spent 4 hours together. And then we got him, he listened. We really got to the essence of the man. And then he asked who was opposed to it. And Kelso said, well, Milton Friedman and Paul Samuelson, 2 Nobel Prize-winning economists. And then Long said, I really don't care who's right. I try to live by this principle when I first came into Congress, into the Senate. He was the son of Huey Long. His father was assassinated, and he was to replace his father. So he said, when I first came into the Senate, I said, the principle I want to follow is that I really don't care who's right. I care what's right. Now, this is right. So he said, now, what are you people doing about it? See, Kelso was not being practical at all politically. He was just going over theory.